staying to hear the last three presentations of the conference. So we have three speakers. We have our second keynote, Thicke, she represents two organizations, one good one and one bad one. One commercial one and one non-commercial one. So I think today she's representing the good one, whatever it is. And then we are going to have the much anticipated session on the collaborative localization platform and things that people do for this kind of outside the scope that we have been discussing so far. The very last presenter of today is Alvin Yeo, who is not just from Malaysia, but from Borneo in Malaysia. So it's very, very far away, very, very different environment, very, very different problems, and very, very interesting approaches to solving and addressing those problems. So stay for that, even if you don't want to ask. So it's a great pleasure to introduce Thicke, who lives in Paris, and when I met her at first and she said that she was living in Paris, I thought she was kind of French, but then she wasn't really talking like a French person, talks English. And so it turns out that she's Canadian, so it's a bilingual country, and I think she has done a lot of very, very, very good work, and I think the organization that she's involved in, which is Translators Without Frontiers, and I'm going to try and pronounce it in French because my French is really shouldn't talk about it. It's a very, very good organization. It's offering, bringing together translators that offer their services for free for good causes. And that's why I was saying, and this is Laurie's representing here all the good causes together. The translators are involved in. And what is really mind-boggling is that you would think of translators and volunteers, they do kind of Mickey Mouse projects and small little things here and there when they have time to do it. They actually translate 1 million words a year, which is quite sizable, even in commercial terms, I think. She has very, very, very good reasons why translators should be involved and localizers should be involved to do good things. She has also good examples where this good work can be applied to. So I would like you to welcome Thicke, our second keynote speaker in the conference.
Hello, and thank you for coming after our 3-course lunch. I'm going to talk to you about something that maybe hasn't been on the table so much before in our industry, but I think should be. I'm going to talk about information poverty, about how 4/5 of the people on this planet have little or no access to the knowledge they need in a language that they speak. I'm talking here about the basic medical, nutritional, educational, scientific, and technical knowledge that people need to live healthy and productive lives. And for most of the people on this planet, that knowledge is locked up in languages that they don't speak. And it's locked up in our languages. So I'd like to talk about that today. And I'd also like to share my vision of how the new technologies are coming together with language technologies to find some solutions to this problem. And the reason I'm here with you today is because I really think it's a language problem, and I really think that this is the place where it should be solved in the language industry, particularly in this subset of the language industry, because you're technical people, you're language people, and I think that that's where those two things need to come together with content to solve the problem of the digital and knowledge divide. So before I jump into all that, I just want to thank Reinhard very much for inviting me here today, and also for his passionate support of Localisation4All. I've known Reinhard, or seen him from a distance for years, and I never dreamed that this was so important to him, and then also that he's been working quietly every year to make this a reality. And so thank you for that, and also for introducing us to the CNGL. I'd like to thank them very much for their offer to support our project. to create a collaborative platform that could be used to support the work that we're doing right now with Translators Without Borders, our work with NGOs, or humanitarian organizations. I'm going to use a few shorthand words today, and NGOs is one of the words that I'll use when I really are non-governmental organizations, which is a bit easier than saying humanitarian organizations. I'm also not going to say developing countries or third world countries or emerging economies. I'm just going to say poor countries. I mean, I think that says it. If Jeffrey Sachs can do it in his book, The End of Poverty, I'm going to do it too, because that's really what we're talking about here. We're talking about the gap between rich countries and poor countries. So I want to tell you a little bit about what we're doing now with Translators Without Borders, but the collaborative platform we're talking to the CNGL about will help in this work, but it will also go one step further to address the issue of information poverty in the neglected languages. Right now, Translators Without Borders, it's an organization, a non-profit organization that we run alongside our occasionally for-profit company called Lexcelera. These are some of the organizations we serve. You can see that there's some absolutely wonderful organizations here. Ashoka, they deal with social entrepreneurs, UNICEF, of course, Handicap International, Médecins Sans Frontières, which is our namesake. Really important organizations. Planet Finance, which gives microcredit loans. We do a wide variety of work for these organizations. We might translate their witness reports. For example, Doctors Without Borders, even though they do emergency medical care, one of their biggest goals is to bear witness to what's going on. For example, a woman might have had her whole family massacred by government troops, where the government is saying, no, it's the rebels who are doing it. So Doctors Without Borders, while treating the people, will also get that story from her to an aid worker who will give it to us. So we might get that story in French, and we'll translate it into the major languages of the world press so that we can get those stories out. So that's an important part of what we do. We also translate medical guidelines, donor communications, president's reports, activity reports, treatment protocols, training manuals. There's a wide variety of documents that we translate for these organizations. I would just like to point out that we have some Nobel Peace Prize winners here. Médecins Sans Frontières won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1999. Handicap International was a co-winner in 1997. And Mohammed Yunus from the Grameen Bank, we worked with him through Ashoka. He's a board member of Ashoka, and he won it in 2006 for his microcredit program. So this is important work we're doing. As Arnold said, we're doing about 1 million words a year. It's hard to put a price onto what we save the NGOs so that they can use the work in the field, because some of the work that we do, there would be no budget for. The witness reports, for example, there's no budget for that. If we weren't doing it, those stories probably wouldn't be getting out. We've estimated over the years that maybe we've saved them about €1 million, because we've been going since 1993 to put into their work, and we do about now perhaps €200,000 worth of work a year. We got our start in 1993 when Doctors Without Borders approached my commercial company and said, "Will you do this big project for us?" And I said, "Well, if we didn't charge you, could you use that work? Could you use the money you save for your work in the field?" And they could, and so we did, and that's how Translators Without Borders was born. Now, when I say we translate 1 million words a year, I mean the freelance translators. We have a pool of about 500 incredibly dedicated professional translators who do the work alongside their regular jobs. They might work in the evenings or weekends.